How's it going, vaqueros, and welcome back to the Shotgun Haven. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about 3 awesome shotgun builds that are super high risk, high reward that aren't the KV Broadside, but I do think are in some way kind of meta, if you want to call them that, to the shotgun class in particular. Maybe not to Warzone as a whole, but these are really strong shotguns that deal a ton of damage, and we're going to talk about these builds, why I like them, what's so cool about them, and go over the class setup and all that good stuff. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to check out the timestamps below, and without further ado, let's just go ahead and start with number 1. For my first class, this really needs no introduction, and I just talked about it in my other video, but this is the Lockwood 300 Dragon's Breath class. This thing boasts one of the fastest time to kill, if not the fastest time to kill, of pretty much any gun in Warzone, because it has 2 very fast shots at around 170 RPM, so your time to kill is at about that 350 millisecond mark, which in Warzone is very fast. And this thing also has incredible range with a 2-shot of around that 9-meter mark, and really that is no joke for a gun that shoots this fast. So having that kind of time to kill out to that far, if you can hit your shots, is really good. And I love this class. It is so much fun, and it's very consistent. That's one of the things I like about it, is that you can really just kind of hit fire and be pretty damn consistent with this thing. Unlike how the base gun is, you really need Dragon's Breath on this one to make it work. So taking a look at the class setup, here is the basic loadout. So we're going to be using the Matuzek 812 barrel as well as the Seiken DB107. That's going to give us the most range in class if you want the tunings. There you go. I'll kind of flash them on screen really quick. Hopefully you guys know how to tune attachments by now. We're going to be using the high stock mod to get some good mobility, good sprint to fire speed. Of course, Dragon's Breath is key, and again, there's the tunings for that. And then for the lasers, we're going to be using the VLK 7 milliwatt, but this one you can kind of swap out for another one. Another good one, as always, that I've mentioned so many times, is the Point G3P. If you want to try the 7 milliwatt cannon, go for that as well, but my preference is the 7 milliwatt because I like the aim down sight speed bonus that you get from this. So that is the first class. It's a ton of fun. If you haven't used it yet, if you haven't watched that other video on it, go check it out. There's some seriously good information there. This class is a blast to use, no pun intended, because Dragon's Breath is so strong. You do over 200 damage. You can 2-shot people left and right, but you got to be careful because the downside is obviously you only have 2 rounds. But against one person, against maybe even 2 people, if you can maneuver well, this thing is an absolute monster. So hopefully you guys try this out. And now for the next class, let's go ahead and check it out. And for this one, we are going to be using one of my new favorite builds for the 890, and that is the super fast mobility build that I recommended in one of my older videos, that in Warzone, man, you will zoom around the map like crazy. Now, what's interesting about this class is that it's a shotgun. It's a pump action that deals a lot of damage, has a little bit less range than the Bryson 800, but it makes up for it by having great mobility, and that really is the key to this class. What's so nice about it is this gun, and this build in particular, has the fastest tactical sprint time out of any other gun that I found in the entire game thus far, and it is ridiculous. You can check it out on sim.gg. Some SMGs came close, but the tactical sprint speed on this gun is the fastest I've found so far, and some other speeds are a little bit slower compared to some SMGs, but that tac sprint speed is just crazy, and you can tell when you use this thing, you will be flying. And for a shotgun, it's really important to be able to be mobile and quick, and this is exactly what this build will do. And of course, on top of that, you get great damage and some pretty decent range. So let's take a look at the class. So taking a look at this speedy build, one of the key attachments is of course the 5-shell mag. Now yes, you do have by default 8, but 5 is generally okay for maybe 2 people, maybe 3, but generally you're going to be reloading after every kill anyway. 5 shells really isn't too bad as long as you know how to work with it, so bear with me there. Then of course we have the demo firewall. This is the only barrel that gives us movement speed and damage range and a tighter pellet spread. Kind of weird, you wouldn't think a barrel that gives you movement speed does that, but yes, you do get some more damage range. This thing is pretty nice, and of course the tuning for that you can see on the screen. Then we're using the sawed-off mod, which is self-explanatory. The demo drop zone pump, which is what we're going to be used to getting more sprint speed. That's another key attachment, and there's the tuning for that. And really, Dragon's Breath is also the key here, because Dragon's Breath on these shotguns does give you a little bit more range, at least in those first 2 damage ranges. Then it does a lot less damage, and the range is actually kind of bad, but there's the tuning for Dragon's Breath. And for the 2-shot range, you're looking at about 6.9 meters, which is not the greatest in the shotgun category, but considering how fast you move and just the trade-off there, it is totally worth it. And again, this class is amazing. It is so much fun to fly around the map so fast, and it's really nice when you're like running from the gas and you can just swap to this. You know, you have a backup and this can be your backup. You switch to it, you run from the gas, and you're very quick. It's actually pretty nice. It has some great utility. The only downside is 5 shells, and then you only have 6.9 meters of that 2-shot range, but it's really not that bad. If you're in shotgun distance, this thing is a monster to behold, and so you definitely need to check out this build. And for the next build, we're going to be talking about the Bryson 800, which is basically like the weird brother of the Bryson 890. This one is, of course, shell-by-shell loading. There is no magazine attachment, but the nice thing about this one is this boasts the best range between the two. You lose a little bit of mobility, but you also have a little bit of a better fire rate. So that's what kind of makes up for this one. You get more range, better fire rate, but less handling, which isn't really too bad. Now, this build in particular, we're going to be kitting this thing out for range because this thing is almost on par with the Lockwood 300. It's a little bit short. I think it's about maybe 0.2 of a meter short, but your 2-shot is basically out to about 9 meters in the way we're going to kit it out, and it's also incredibly strong up close, dealing over 200 damage. So let's go ahead and take a look at the build. So here is the build for this gun, and as you can see, we're rocking 2 ranged attachments. That is the SAMX50 and the rifled barrel. It's going to give you the best range in class. The tuning for the rifled barrel is here, and then the tuning for the SAMX50 is here. Of course, you can tune it however you want. This is just what I prefer. And then, of course, we have the sawed-off stock mod, the Demo X50 tactical pump grip, which is going to give us a little bit of a faster rechambering speed, which, of course, this gun is a very slow time to kill. You're definitely going to want to weave in and out of cover with this sort of build and aim down sights if they're too far. And then, of course, we have Dragon's Breath as the next attachment, and there is the tuning for that. And I don't think I showed it, but here is the tuning for the Demo X50 tactical grip. Overall, the Bryson 800 in particular is a very solid shotgun. Yes, it's a little bit slower than the Bryson 890. Yes, you have to load shell by shell, and you only have 6 shells in the magazine with this one, but this is a range build. This is the range pump action that you want to use. The Bryson 890 can come close, but this one actually takes the cake in the range department, up there with the Lockwood 300. So this is another really great build, and these are very high risk. So those are my 3 favorite builds that I've been rocking in Warzone 2, besides the Broadside, which is the just kind of, in general, it's just the best shotgun overall and one of the best like close quarters weapons overall. It's insanely annoying to die to. It's incredibly strong, and it's gonna catch a nerf soon. So when that happens, it still might be meta. It still might be the best shotgun, but these 3 are really great alternatives. And you might have noticed the Expedite 12 isn't on this list. That's because really it's kind of overshadowed by the KV Broadside. And even when the KV catches a nerf, unless they nerf it hard enough, the Expedite is still going to be pretty irrelevant in my opinion. But those are the 3 classes that I really think you guys should check out. If you really like high risk, high reward shotgun builds, these are some great ones to go with. Most importantly, really just try Dragon's Breath. That seems to be the best way to go in Warzone, as I've probably mentioned before. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. So let me know down below in the comments, what do you think of these builds? Do you have one that sticks out among the rest? Do you have another build that I should check out with a different shotgun? And with all that being said, I will see you guys in the next shotgun video.